Pro.Gnosis, a podcast with Armon Ree.
Welcome everyone to Pro.Gnosis episode 9. Today we have a returning guest, Reality Sceptic. He was with us before, but now he has several other topics to discuss. In fact, he returned also to something that pleases me, to making his own podcast, so that's good news there. There were doubts whether he would return or not in our last episode, but he did. And welcome, Luke, and tell me what you want to talk about today.
Thanks for giving me this opportunity. Well, there are a few topics, some less relevant, some more relevant, I think. But obviously, since we had a 9/11 anniversary, I was wondering if you sometimes yourself go back to all those pictures and the movie so-called
Mm-hmm.
what was shown on TV, and do you ever consider yourself how much are we fooled, or how relevant was 9/11 really looking back and stuff like that. So that's one of the topics, because people always like to have a anniversary and talk about the same stuff, but I think there are some few key issues maybe that some people are still stuck for years on this topic. And I don't know if you do that yourself, that you try to reconsider maybe, or try to think about the same topic every year, for example during the anniversary, and think about what we missed, what are the mysteries left, or do you even sometimes do that? Because I have an opinion about that which is kind
Mm-hmm.
of different than other people might think.
Well, I don't pay much attention to anniversaries for the simple reason that I often have to be reminded that my birthday is coming, because I don't even recollect some of the dates. But it's about the way my mind works and my memory establishes things. So, but yes, I do go back, especially to 9/11. I think back because 9/11 started my the deeper step of my journey, I would say. Although I was already spiritually inclined, it was around 2005-06 that I started looking at the other aspects of 9/11 not being as told, and so yeah, I do look back as well.
Yeah, because there's one obviously very important thing that makes human beings emotional, right? Whether somebody died or nobody died, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things, and people like to. There are certain people in this corner of the internet, if I might use John LeBon's terminology, right?
Yeah.
Um, who will, jump. The first thing they will say is nobody died, nobody got hurt, right, or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will insist that it's impossible that nobody ever dies in some big events or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, the question is it really that important whether 0 people died, 1 people died, or 2.5 people died, right? I mean, metaphorically speaking, but, I don't know if even that is the most important question. Obviously, I think you mentioned it a few times that the spiritual aspect, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is when it comes to the human beings living currently in the world, and what that event that did to them, right? I think that might be very crucial aspect that people try to don't like to talk about openly. But is
Mm-hmm.
it relevant to you that some people insist that nobody died? Some people will claim, even listen, even matter of quantum of conscience keeps insisting every year that he knows somebody who died, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I followed his channel. I thought he was genuine, but I don't know if that's the case, right? He will argue, and people and laugh at people who will say that nobody died. So people are very stubborn, obviously, about those situations, and
Mm-hmm.
especially about death. So I don't know what would you say to
Well,
that?
as you've well presented to me, the spiritual aspect in the sense of the the symbolic aspect of 9/11 is more important. Yes, is the most important. But it is of material importance as well to distinguish if someone died directly as a result of an event. It is of material importance because every life, every human life, at least to the person in question, is important, right? So that is of material importance, and also it brings to mind aspects such as responsibility. What is one thing is the weight of responsibility of a promoter of a change in society. Another is responsibility for murder or something related. So it is of material importance to analyze that. And I think that the at least after a certain point, we could discuss history, but that's not the point right now. But at least after a certain point, that there was caution in regards to having victims directly, casualties, let's say, directly linked to an event such as of this magnitude. When we analyze that, and even the fakeologist had a week just now, the week that 9/11 was, yes, had a review of September Clues with several guests. One of them was Simon himself, the author, and he also showed, especially in the addendum regarding Building 7, which is the most obvious of the fake footage, perhaps, that it was all of the videos and imagery that we saw had problems, so had necessarily to be at the very least tampered with, if not outright fabricated. So once we establish that, and that is perhaps the hardest point to establish for a mind that is used to, let's say, normality, right? And the normal view would be, the news. The news can sometimes skew the truth, but they have to report on actual things, right? And so the most difficult point is to establish that all the footage was at the very least tampered with. Once you establish that, then all the rest starts to crumble. And of course, during this week of review, they didn't even touch upon the Pentagon, and Lynn Ertel was vehemently saying that was the key point, and I agree with her in that regard, because if you look at the Pentagon angle, what happened there was even more impossible than the rest, right?
Yes.
And they didn't even make an attempt to present any kind of footage, be it fabricated or another. They just present that GIF or GIF, whatever it's called, that shows a blurry thing exploding onto a wall, and that's it.
Yes.
That was the only thing that, and then the hole in the side of the Pentagon. But so they didn't even try. So once you establish that, you can more easily look at the angle of the possible victims, right? Because you would not, if you wanted to really cause a traumatic event that had material consequence, you would not fake the footage, you would not fake anything. What you would do is you would actually get two commercial airplanes to go into the towers if it is possible from the steering point of view. I don't know. I was never a pilot, so I don't know if such a big airplane would have that precision. It probably would. But they would ram those actual aircraft with people inside, normal commercial jets, onto the towers. The towers would be working as normal, so with all the offices working. Of course, we already know that many of the offices were empty as people had vacated, the enterprises had vacated them, but that's, again, a different discussion. And then they would bring down in a controlled demolition the towers and all the rest. And of course, they would probably even bring in a third airplane to hit Building 7 and the adjacent buildings to at least give a certain reality, right? A certain sense of reality of why those buildings were to collapse as well. This didn't happen, right? So if they really wanted to cause a trauma with material consequence, they would actually have done this. And the fake footage shows that they didn't. They manufactured the entire footage. They presented crisis actors with clearly contradictory and false testimony. It can't be otherwise. And also, what happened after that is that people who were in the vicinity, although maybe not in the actual, proximity of the buildings, but in the general vicinity, let's say, would fill in the blanks with what they were being given by the news, because I do not think that anyone witnessing the event would have witnessed it without following what was being told in the news. I mean, imagine yourself in a situation such as that. You see the smoke, you hear all kinds of confusion, and you see a huge tower covered in smoke and all that. Of course, you're going to inquire or try to switch on a radio or go to somewhere where there's a TV to try to figure out what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if someone, for example, was in the vicinity, all they saw was smoke and confusion, and they grabbed their radio or went to a place with a TV, and they saw the footage that we analyzed, they would link one with the other, and the memory would be solidified in that way, right? So it's not that the person is lying per se, in the sense of voluntarily lying, willingly lying, but that they got a perception that was carried by what they were seeing in reality and the caption or the motivations and the explanation that was given on TV. So even, let's say, innocent and people that weren't involved in this theater can present witness accounts of, I was there, and they can even say, I saw the planes, and they can even say, I saw the people jumping or whatever. They couldn't see. It's, you cannot see one person jumping from a tower. I mean, even the photography itself, the photograph, supposedly of the jumping man, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've taken many photographs, but once you zoom in, you either know that something is going to happen in that particular spot, or you can't frame it so quickly, right?
Yes.
It's one of the. It's like the that photograph of the bullet going by Trump. Do you remember that now recently?
Oh yeah.
That someone presented a photograph.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Where you see the bullet. I mean, please, right? So it would be virtually impossible to witness. And if you're in terms of scale, if you were at the bottom of a skyscraper such as that, you would not even see a person falling down. Only when the person was too close to you, and you probably wouldn't have the time to even step aside.